Sherry, could you leave us in the loop, please? Roll call, please.
We'll be commencing with an oral roll call. Commissioner Hamilton,
Present.
Commissioner Grunsky,
Present.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Rustaller,
Present.
Commissioner Sangha.
Here.
That concludes roll call. Thank you.
Any action or requests for continuance or withdrawals this evening?
Good evening, Chair and Commission. David Kwong, your Director. We do have a request on consent item number 1, the revocation. The gentleman, applicant owner, is here and would like to speak to that continuation in regard to specifically a date certain. So I'm not sure at this point what date he would like. My understanding is it might be September 16th, but I wanted to make sure he's okay with that. The gentleman's coming up.
consent item number 1 correctly, correct? PA 19. State your name and address, please.
Gerardo Rodriguez, PO Box 161, Victor, California, 95253.
Okay.
You're requesting a continuance for yet a date to be determined yet. Okay. Thank you.
That'll work. We have a motion for continuance for item number 1, consent item number 1. Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Grinsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Rustaller,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes. Motion passed 5-0. The public is welcome to address the Planning Commission on items of interest to the public that are not listed on the agenda at this time. Comments to the commission are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes or 200. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the commission? Seeing none, we'll go to action items. Action item number 2, site approval number PA 211907. Great. Welcome, John. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Hamilton and Commissioners. This project is a site approval application to establish a small kennel facility for a maximum of 9 dogs. The project includes the construction of 6 individual kennels totaling 3,009 square feet. The kennel operation is for breeding only. No boarding of dogs is proposed. The project site is located on the north side of East Tokay Colony Road, 1 mile east of Jacktone Road, Lodi. The project has a general plan designation of AG, General Agriculture, and a zoning designation of AG 40, General Agricultural 40-acre minimum. As shown on the slide, the current land uses for this site include 3 single-family residences, 2 accessory buildings and kennels. Surrounding land uses include agricultural, animal raising, and scattered residences. This slide depicts the nearest residence located on the adjacent parcel 325 feet northeast of the proposed kennel operations. This is a copy of the site plan submitted by the applicant, which depicts the proposed kennel operation and existing structures. As you can see in the northwest corner, there are 6 proposed kennel bays. Background. On April 29, 2020, the Code Enforcement Division opened a code enforcement case for operating a dog kennel without the benefit of a land use permit. A code enforcement officer inspected the property and determined that the applicant exceeded the number of permitted dogs and was breeding dogs for the purpose of selling. On June 4, 2020, the property owner met with code enforcement and planning staff to discuss the dog breeding operation. On July 9, 2020, the property owner applied for this subject site approval application, and typically site approval applications are approved at staff level. However, due to neighborhood opposition and project concerns received for the kennel project, the application has been elevated to the Planning Commission for review. If the site approval application for the kennel is approved by the Planning Commission, the applicant will be permitted to have 9 dogs. In addition, each resident on the site would be permitted to house 3 dogs. Proposed operations. The applicant will house the 9 dogs for breeding purposes within the 6 individual kennel bays. The daily operations include maintenance of the kennels and care of the puppies and dogs will be managed by family members. The project applicant has developed social media accounts and live web-based operations for public viewing of the puppies and dogs. No customers are permitted to the site. The project applicant, once contacted by an interested buyer, will deliver the puppies to the customers off-site for purchase. If the kennel operation is approved, it is recommended that all customer transactions and sale of puppies occur off-site and that no customers are permitted to the site. The project applicant has agreed to these conditions of approval. Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has received calls for service for the project site for excessive dog barking. The Community Development Department has been in contact with the Sheriff's Office and has visited the site. The Sheriff's Office has indicated to CDD staff that after visiting and inspecting the site for excessive barking calls, that a violation has not occurred. As of February 24, 2021, the Sheriff's Office has not received any additional calls for excessive barking. If your Planning Commission has any additional questions, the Sheriff's Office is here tonight. Noise and excessive barking. The community and kennel operations. The Community Development Department has received several calls, emails, and 2 letters in opposition from neighboring property owners for the proposed project. The concerns are regarding noise, excessive barking, and kennel operations. Noise and excessive barking. The project is subject to the noise ordinance chapter. Proposed projects that will create new stationary noise sources or expand existing stationary noise sources will be required to mitigate the noise levels from the stationary noise sources so as not to exceed the noise level standards specified in the development title. The project area is within an agricultural area comprised of large parcels with few noise-sensitive receptors in the area. The nearest resident on adjacent parcels is located 325 feet east of the proposed kennel site. All dogs will be kept inside an enclosed area of the kennel, and the project applicant has indicated they use best management practices, hanging soundproof baffles on the exterior walls, and using sound-reflecting materials to reduce the noise. If the project is approved by your Planning Commission tonight, the applicant has agreed to these noise reduction conditions. Kennel operations. No customers, again, are permitted to the site. The Sheriff's Office has included conditions of approval for the project that allow for regular unannounced inspections by the Sheriff's Office during normal and reasonable business hours or while investigating complaints and referrals in the course of the Deputy or Animal Services Office official duties. Also, as an added condition, and included in your notes for this evening, there is a condition from the Sheriff that all dogs are to be vaccinated and registered with the Sheriff's Office if the project is approved. The project applicant has agreed to these conditions of approval. This is site photo 1. This is an on-site picture of the kennel operations with the 6 bays. Site photo 2, this is an on-site picture of the kennels and proposed locations of the hanging soundproof baffles. Thank you, Chair and Commission. This includes staff's presentation.
The applicant or the representative come forward. State your name and address if you would, please. Thank you.
Maria Dolan, 15045 East OK Colony Road, Lodi, California. Yo solo quiero hacer mi negocio. Yo nunca pensé, no quiero problema con ningún vecino. Nunca me mudé para tener problemas.
So she said that she just wants her business, and she never thought that this was going to get out of hand, and she doesn't want no problems with any kind of neighbors. You know, make sure everything's okay, and that's why she's doing the proper procedure. Get everything done the proper way, and that she doesn't want no problems with neighbors. So.
Y esa no es mi propiedad, estoy rentando. Pronto me compro mi casa y me voy. No es.
And she said at the moment she's renting, and sooner or later she'll be buying her own property and moving out. Not going to be there permanently. That's it.
We brought that up. I had a question for staff. Does the permit stay with the property if the property is sold?
Yes, Chair, Commissioner Hamilton. The land use permit, if approved tonight, would run with the property.
Now, I had a question for the applicant. Is this going to be, you're going to utilize the existing kennels you have now, fabric sound barrier, or is it going to be rebuilt and enclosed facility?
¿Lo va a dejar así como está todo o lo va a encerrar todo?
El plan, si no es mucho costo, como no es mi casa, no he hecho algo cerrado.
So because it's not her home, and if it's a bigger cost, doesn't in a whole enclosed, but at the moment she's Probably just leave
Estamos-
it the way it is.
Estamos trabajando en el sound, en el,
She's
para
working right now.
soundproof.
Also, right now, at the moment, they're working at the soundproof wall barrier, whatever's, to build, so that way.
Yeah, I drove by the site and saw the fabric sound barrier, fabric roof for the weather.
Oh, ellos tienen
What
casa
keep-
de
what
madera
keeps you-
dentro grande.
Oh, casa adentro?
Ajá.
They also have an actual doghouse built by wood, a wooden doghouse en kennel, en cada kennel,
cada-
yeah.
Other than that, there's just fabric on top.
Yeah. Tienen más la fábrica, como las tarpas y todo eso.
Sí, para la sombra y
Yeah, for the shade and everything.
Actually, what kind of dogs are you breeding?
¿Qué tipo de perro?
Auxidor,
Oxydor.
Auxidor.
Aussie.
Questions from?
Yeah, just for John, vaccinated, the sheriff's department, can you just repeat that part again for me?
So we received a email specifically in regards to the conditions of approval. The sheriff wanted to add a condition of approval that all the dogs on site, if this is approved, they need to be vaccinated and registered with the sheriff's office. So that's just a part of any conditions of approval. The sheriff's requesting that, and that's all kennels use.
And that's not the case at the moment?
No.
Gotcha.
John, I had sorry, is it a standard procedure that they're asking for the vaccination, or is this something new just popped up because of all that's going on?
No, this is something that any dog within San Joaquin County should be registered and vaccinated. But the sheriff's office, he's here this evening, so I want him to address that question specifically because it'd be better for it to come from him than me.
Can I say something? All my dogs are vaccinated. I have the proof here, and 2 days ago I went to the sheriff office. I talked to him. If this approved, I need to give you all the paper to him right today.
I had a question to come back to staff. You said that, report, you said that there's a permit for 9 dogs,
Correct.
for breeding dogs.
That's correct, Chairman.
There'll be puppies in the kennel.
Correct.
Then you also have availability, I guess I can ask Sheriff, but availability for 3 more dogs in each home.
So the development title permits for each residence to have a limit of 3 dogs. On top of that, if this project is approved, they'll have the 9 additional dogs, so they could have up to 18.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get the sheriff to come up and ask a question? Thank you. Good evening. State your name.
My name is Officer Chris Holub with the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office.
And could you go over the vaccination process?
So County Ordinance 4-9005 and 9007 require every dog in the county of San Joaquin over 4 months of age be vaccinated for rabies and licensed with the county, which is it's a simple application, and if the dogs are not fixed, it's $30. If the dogs are fixed, it's $10 per dog.
Been in the process with the county?
Yes, I visited the parcel in question personally, along with the staff members, and I've been out there on barking dog complaints recently as well, or not recently, but in the past, and have yet to hear any barking from the roadway or within reason.
Yeah, they're currently operating as a for sale, correct?
Yes.
And in that situation, usually you probably would want to have already been registered with you and had vaccinated to have it completely legit, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Questions from them? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here tonight who'd like to speak in favor of this project?
Would be your
Seeing
oppor-
none, do you have anybody calling in?
Mr. Jenkins, this is the opportunity. If anyone is online that wants to speak in favor of the project, that's PA 2000119, action item 2. This would be your chance to unmute and participate via Teams. I'm seeing no requests.
Okay, we'll move on. Anyone in opposition to this project that would like to come forward? Name and address, please.
Russ Stoddart, 14953 East Tokay Colony Road. Presentation. First of all, thanks a lot for the opportunity to speak against this application. The last time I spoke in public was actually before the Planning Commission in 2012 when we tried to get the property split, and that's still an ongoing process. We're in the final stage of that, but I don't do very well public speaking, and so please bear with me. Just something that was mentioned, that no additional calls for service. The sheriff and the code enforcement told us there was nothing else that they could do. So we've just been kind of playing out this process, and then I'll probably refer to the abatement, sheriff's abatement folks. They told us just to document everything, that if this thing has to go to court, they said that people with most documentation usually win. We don't want to do that. So that just addresses that. So here's the video. I've got a lot of slides. I'm just going to go through them real quick. If you want to refer or going back to them, the sheriff's office and stuff, they haven't heard the barking. And this is a quick, if you'll just play that for just, if you go like 15, 20 seconds in and just... Okay, that's good. So the sheriff never hears this when they're out there, and I really don't know why. I probably have over 100 videos documented, and it's not comfortable. These people are nice people. Now Sal, who's the property owner, he's a very unreasonable person, and I'll just leave that at that. I've had the opportunity to, like I say, attend the sheriff's abatement program and presentations, and so everything that we've kind of done is based on that, and we personally met with them recently. Also, the video was taken with my iPhone. The technology in the iPhone, as I understand it, is designed to somewhat limit the background noise. So that's not a really true reflection of what I was hearing and what you might hear in another one. If you'll go to the next video, please. Oh, that's me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to, this is a long video, but this was a drone video. At the same time we were hearing this noise, there were about 12 dogs, and like I say, if you folks want to refer back to this when I'm done or whatever, you can count a minimum of 12 dogs or maybe a maximum. It's hard to tell. The video is not that quality. Please note those 12 dogs were there 4 months, and also Mr. Funderburg mentioned that the Sheriff's Department opened up a file in that April. There was another one when we called on August 8th in 2019, and Mr. Funderburg's office actually sent notices, and that's part of the, it's on their website as taking some sort of action. This video was taken 4 months after they were cited and notified, and a case was closed. So there's a testament that something's going on here, and they haven't abided to this day. This is an existing, ongoing operation. You can go under their Facebook. And once again, this is, the dogs, the puppies are cute. It's about this ongoing barking. I'm also aware that there's other objections. Mr. Funderburg mentioned a couple, and I think my brother will address that. There's several other property owners besides ourselves that wrote in. This is very uncomfortable for us. I mean, who wants to have this sort of thing with their neighbors? And once again, I mean, sure, very nice people. The gentleman over there, I spoke with him. They're not confrontational people. The owner of the property, Sal, I wish he was here because the sheriff has actual body cam video that I'm sure you'd enjoy seeing. If we go to slide 3 and 4, please. So when we met with the abatement department, the abatement gentleman from the Highway Patrol, I don't know if they volunteer their time, he said that when these issues come up that other neighbors probably feel the same way, but they feel that there's nothing can do or they're afraid to. This actually is, I scribbled out the part that would identify this person, but he was worried about his dogs being poisoned. They were sick. He was worried that this thing had come up and that his dogs were poisoned. Next one, please. This was just a Facebook comment, but this is from a Facebook comment that I just posted that we were going to be meeting last month, and he's a whole road away, and he's commenting that they can hear the dogs way over there, and so it kind of this whole sheriff and Mr. Funderburg going out there, I'm not sure what's going on, but like I say, I have plenty of other videos. If we'll go to slide 5, please, or the next slide, please. This is just quick numbers. American Society, just on the website, says of the approximately 6.5 million companion animals who enter shelters nationwide, 3.3 million are dogs. Each year, approximately 670,000 are euthanized annually. According to the Stockton City Shelter website, these are the statistics. 2018, 951 dogs were euthanized. 2019, 353 dogs were surrendered by owners. 954 were euthanized. 2020, 606 dogs surrenders. You can read that. 230 dogs were euthanized. I spoke to Pals Haven this week, a volunteer. They mentioned they were picking up a couple of dogs from the Stockton pound that were pregnant, representing 13 more puppies, and they already have puppies there. Next slide, please. And they're cute puppies, and you can go to the next one. This is just showing that they interact with their customers online. There may or may not be people going on the property. We don't pay that close attention. We don't want that sort of confrontation with them. On their Facebook page, it says they raise AKC Chocolate Labs, purebred Australian Shepherd, White Swiss Shepherd, Ozador. We have some pictures of some other different dogs that were barking at my daughter on the fence. But anyhow, so conservatively, if you read through their Facebook page, there's been about 25 litters since they moved in, and it said, if you go to the next slide, please. They told someone that they get anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 per dog, $300 deposit. AKC says on their website litters average 5 to 6, but they can be as many as 1 to 12. So if you do 25 litters at conservatively 5 a litter, that's $150,000 in 2 years. That's just if you're not a bad business, and I can see why they'd want to. This is a thing, but once again, the people are very nice. Number 9, the next slide, please. This is what a different view for you. This is what they're asking you to approve. The dogs are out here in the cold when it's freezing out there in the heat of the summer. And as you'll see in some other slides, it's not how I would keep dogs. I just don't think this is the sort of kennel that I hope that you won't approve. Next slide, please. This is just to give you a quick layout. The other picture wasn't very good. The yellow one is my brother's house. I don't know how John got his measurements. Class Act, this guy's been wonderful to help us navigate this. My brother, or my sister-in-law who speak to you, her window faces that in the yellow, and hers a little bit closer to mine. And I think right there it tells you that I've got 246 feet and I've got 282 feet from mine, but we're just splitting hairs there. But what you really see there in that picture is that we're really a small community. There's almost 20 acres there. Between our respective properties, but we're all concentrated just on a few. And so those barking dogs, it's not as if they're way out in the corner. So once again, you're being asked, next slide please, you're being asked to approve something that's been in existence for a long time, for a couple of years now. It's not a climate controlled facility or anything, and it's in existence. And I don't know if they're going to have to make, if it was approved, to make modifications or whatever, but it's already a facility, so I don't understand all of the terminology. If you were on the fence on whether this should be approved, the most serious issue that I can see on page 91 there is some drainage issues with the property that were pre-existing and then have been exacerbated since the development of the property. If you can go to the next one, please. So you can go to the next one. Some of them I duplicated accidentally. This was just a quick layout for you to show overhead. I think this is from 2010 that shows you the natural flow of drainage of water. What you don't see in any of the photos is that we're on a little knoll. We're actually a few feet above. It's natural. People that grew up around there 30, 40, 50 years ago used to call it Peanut Hill, and they played out there before even our house there. The red represents our property where the little knoll is, and then the blue represents where water comes down that way. The yellow arrows, you can see how the water goes north, and then the green arrow is where the kennel is now and everything. Please, next slide. So this is June of 2010. We're in the summer. These are just Google Earth photos that I got. You can see that everything is dry around there, but where that little pond there is green. Next slide, please. June 2011, still a little bit of green there. You can look, everywhere else is dry. This area that they've developed is a natural drainage. Next one, please. So you can see that their septic system is right there, and you'll see the kennel and stuff's there. The red just shows that my brother's knoll, kind of how the water naturally goes, and then from my house, it kind of comes down the driveway. Next slide, please. So that's just another overshot of how things are, but you can see by that last one that they've developed what's an existing low area. Next slide, please. So that low area that you saw that was low and captured water, they brought in dirt to fill that in. Next slide. That just shows the dirt's filled in was before low. Next slide, please. Thank you for doing this. So this is a whole other problem. This is not before you tonight. Turns out it's something we have to take care of. But they've filled in the area next to the road, and this is what's created. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is just happening on our property since they've done all this development and moved the earth around. Next slide, please. And this is just another view. Joe Campbell, who originally developed this property when it was bare ground, was required or whatever, put in drainage underneath the driveways. And when I say they're not the property owners, they're renters. And once again, nice people. Sal, they don't care. They've filled everything in. I've talked to them about it, and they just don't care. My brother spent close to $30,000 when he built the house for an engineering company to do everything the right way, so we didn't do anything wrong, and so his house would be well done. But they just do stuff, and this is what happens. Next slide, please. Like any neighbor should do, we reached out to the neighbor. This only represents a few of my attempts to reach out to her. This was in October of 2019, and you can just see that there was a Facebook interaction. Next slide, please. Just press this. I just play if you'll go in there maybe 30 seconds. I mean, you can play it from wherever, and then just skip around a couple bit. Just skip, yeah. Don't skip anywhere. Okay, that's good. So this is just one particular video of these people letting these dogs. Those dogs, I don't know if they were associated with the kennel. There's a fence there. But this dog barking is just ongoing. And please, next slide, please. I just want to get through. The next video you're going to see is actually the first video I played for you. The day before or the day of, I had contact with Mary, the owner of Sal, the other owner of the property, and her reply to me was, "Hi, Russ, the dogs at the entrance have the bark collars on. You heard them barking earlier." She says, "They don't bark too much." And then she says, Rawls dogs, I know those for his, are a different story. Next email, please, or the next one, slide, please. Oh, yeah. And then just play that anywhere, just real quick. You can just click anywhere on there. Oh, that's just a 16-second. Okay, that's good. That just gives you an idea. She admits, but she said that those dogs that you're hearing there in front have bark collars on. Next slide, please. October 26th, I sent a letter that says, "Listen, I'm being driven insane by the barking. I'm almost begging you to do something about the dogs." That's just part of the email. Next. Now, this is just a few second video. This is Sal, the owner, who's unfortunately not here. His reply after I sent the email. Please just play that real quick. So the staff report prepared by Mr. Funderburg indicates that if the kennel is approved, they'll have to abide by certain conditions. As far as I know, when the gentleman's here, the dogs were never registered, even though they sent them each time they made contact to register the dogs. They haven't abided by anything. They've continued in operation. Once again, nice, wonderful people, but it's affecting our life. And you'll see that our homes are just kind of right next to each other. I think it's incompatible. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any questions for me? Okay.
Anyone else would like to speak? opposition of this project?
For participating, sorry.
Name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Stoddart, and I live at 14939 East Tokay Colony Road. My home is directly north of the property in question. Chairman Hamilton and Commissioners, thank you for your time and patience and allowing me to speak. I don't want to take up any more of your time on this issue in addition to my previous letters, but my presence here should show that I am opposed to this small kennel breeding facility at the proposed site of 15045 East Tokay Colony Road. As a San Joaquin Delta College nursing professor, I've been working remotely from home since March 13th, 2020, and the sound of barking dogs has been bothersome during my lectures and meetings. Barking that has continued since I first complained about the issue on July of 2019. As the 2021-2022 academic year begins next week at Delta College, I will again continue working from home remotely, and again the concern regarding barking dogs will remain an issue for me. Doors closed, windows closed, I'm able to hear barking inside my home, along with my students. Our home was built in 2017 with 2x6 walls and the best insulation we could get. However, I could still hear barking inside. I voiced my concerns and filed complaints since 2019. I've done my due diligence as a concerned member of the community in trying to rectify the issue, but the violation has been allowed to continue. My only question would be, if this is allowed to continue, what options do I have, as I have followed the procedure outlined by community development? However, those procedures failed me. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition?
Hey, good evening. I want to thank you for postponing this to this week. We were unavailable last month, but we sent letters, and I'm not going to reiterate everything that we said on those. But personally, it's affecting us. It really is. We move out into the country, spend a lot of money building the house out in the country, and want some peaceful living. We were having a barbecue outside and sitting around, and you just hear the dogs. It just continues on. Probably the biggest thing I want to say is there's 6 properties that abut this kennel, and 4 of the 6 have written into you. And 2 of us have complained, and 2 have been in opposition. I can't oversay what my brother mentioned about how hard this is. It's very uncomfortable and very hard to come up and speak against somebody you live next door to. I was raised out in the country out there. We help each other. We don't do this to each other. We're there to help. And this really hurts to ask to oppose this, but really for our sanity, this is what we have to do. But I just want you to know, 4 of the 6, it's not hard. And they're not here probably because, it's confrontational. I've been in public service for a long time, and I've done a lot of speaking. And I've never felt this way before. Have to make a decision like this is something that really affects me and my family. And I really appreciate opposition to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? None. The applicant, you have an opportunity for rebuttal at this time if you would like
to. Hello.
Take your name and
Yes,
address.
my name is Nestor Piva. I live in 14045 East Tokay Colony. I husband Maria. This is my friend translation because my English maybe have an accent, understand me too much. Really, I don't want a problem to the neighbors, nothing. I think to this guy make a complaint, have more complaint to the owner, the property, because a lot of proof give it to him. A lot of
So basically, I think the main problem is the way the actual owner, conducted himself in front of the neighbors are already there. So he's saying that it's mostly on one-on-one because of the other owner and not with them. And like he's saying, and they said they're nice people too.
He tratado de ser buen vecino con ellos.
He's been trying to be a good neighbor to them.
Él cuando dijo, vino una vez a hablar.
He came to talk to him.
To me, one white Swiss shepherd we have a bark very strong, big one. I say, okay, no problem. I moved this dog to my brother. My brother lives in East Bay area. I give it to him. The bark comes down because here. The dog is bark when something people pass walking with other dog or something, but I buy the shop.
So he actually bought a bark collar for the dog so it didn't bark that much. But when the neighbor came over, he did have a dog that was really barked a lot. So he actually gave it to his brother, and that kind of took it away. But like he's saying, a dog is going to bark when he sees another dog.
Uh-huh.
So
and otra cosa, I opening for making one fence in the back for proof to the noise coming out other way. Yeah, something here. And the lady say, oh, they can leave the bark, the dog. I got maybe 15 video. His dog bark a lot more than my dog. I have two dogs, one Rottweiler, another mix. In the mix, when go to work, leave in the morning, 6, 7 a.m., leave in the morning, bring in the property. For me, it's okay, because no problem. But it's bark a lot, a lot. It's not only me, it's other neighbors complain. And every time, make a complaint, I don't know with discrimination. I don't know, it's discrimination because I... Okay.
So I guess the neighbors also have dogs, and I guess when they leave to work early in the morning, they're out there in the yard, they leave them free, which he doesn't mind, but they bark as much as his dogs. So at some point he thinks this is like discrimination too, because if they have dogs and they have dogs, they're both barking. So what's the difference from one dog barking in the morning while they're not there, and our dogs barking in the afternoon when everybody's there?
Oh, but the other neighbor, 3 more house, have a sick dog, bark a lot. The other neighbor cross have another dog, bark. In the other side, next to him, is a Spanish guy, have a 3 dogs, he bark a lot. It's not only my dog is bark. I know my dog bark, but not only my fault. I quiero que sean justos y que van a hacer que miren.
Todo parejo. So basically what he wants to bring up is that he wants to be fair. Everybody around the neighborhood has dogs, and all the dogs bark. And he thinks it's just towards him, which if you take it into consideration, all the dogs are barking. So they might not see it at the moment that they're listening to his dogs barking, but when the other dogs are barking, they're probably not around. And when they come from work or they're leaving in the morning, everybody else's dogs are barking because it's early in the morning. So he just wants it to be fair, and so they can see that overall that everybody around there has dogs that bark.
I think we understand that.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The owner of the property is an absentee owner.
The owner? ¿No vive el dueño ahí en la propiedad o sí?
Yes, he lives here. Yeah, he's showing the video with Raúl and Salva. They say bad words. I guess the big problem these two guys is here. I good to him I talk to you every time. You come in, I tell you, hey, I put it show up, I give you calming pill for the dog in the night, can relax, no make it bark. I put a camera. My dog have it now, almost night camera with noise in my phone. I put it next to me when sleeping. With any noise, I talk to, hey, shut up, to my dog. He say, the video picture he's showing when it started. Now I buy the big shade cover, 22 by 22, and put the mix. ¿Cómo se dice la agüita que tira?
No, he also installed mist
For the
summer. So
the fresh they were here, and the sheriff when go, it's only one time. She go almost 4 or 5 times, and every time check it out, say the dog is good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll close the public comment. Anyone online?
This would be opportunity if you're here to comment in opposition of project PA 200119. That's action item number 2. If you're participating through Teams, you can unmute yourself and speak now. I'm seeing no activity.
Thank you. We'll close the public comment and bring it back to the commission. Comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have, several issues. One of them being, John, you said that this, the license carries with the property, correct?
Yes, through the chair.
Excuse me.
Through the chair, Commissioner Grunski, the property, the land use approval, if it's approved tonight, would run with the land. So if they leave the property, another property owner or someone else could run the operation.
Yeah, so we got a landowner who has a lot of animosity with his neighbors. Nice folks leave at some point. I don't know who he brings in or has some type of ill will, but he's got a permit to have breeding dogs on the property. That's an issue. The video didn't. There's 2 sides to every story, but didn't inspire a lot of confidence. We've had similar situations like this in the past with the chicken ranch specifically, where neighbors weren't happy with a proposed project. The difference is that person owned the ground, substantial improvements. We put more things for him to do to appease some of us on the commission. Went and did it as well. So with this current sound mitigation, which is just cloth, it's just not enough for me for out there. And I would hate to see them to put in the money, frankly, of a place that they don't own as well to, and then at some point they're going to leave and buy their own place. But the current standard is it's just not quite enough. And I get dogs. I love dogs. I got a lot of them. But that's my issues with the project.
I'll just I have 3 concerns. First is the site approval staying with the property owner. And as my understanding, the property owner is not part of this kennel, but there's nothing to say that when these nice folks leave that he just will put another kennel in there. I don't know if it'd be spite or not. The issue of dogs barking, well, hello, we all know that happens. And so that comes up to my next problem that I have. We're talking about probability of 18 dogs being on that one parcel at one time. So that is a concern. And the last one for me is that you are renting the property and that you did make the statement that you were going to probably be moving somewhere sometime. And I just can't support this.
Comment?
Yes, I'll echo what you said because the lady mentioned that, you are only here for a short time. So why go through so much of a stress and hassle if you're here only for a short time? Majority of the people, if 4 of the 6 are opposing, it obviously shows, the value to this project. So like John said, it stays with the property. So who knows, once we go with the land use of letting it go, tomorrow somebody else will come with more dogs. There'll be more noise. Especially when you are not the owner, your tenants over there, and you plan on moving for a short time to go through so much of a hassle and so much of a issue where so many people are unhappy, I don't think I can support something like that. It's just not making sense. At the greater good of the community, it doesn't make sense. So I cannot support that.
I would be more for it if you could, do a better sound barrier. But I also understand why you wouldn't want to put the money into the property since you already have a lot of dogs and a lot of noise, and then to increase that without some sort of sound barrier or to have it inside, I could approve it.
I just want to make a comment. I've been on this commission 10 plus years, and I've had 3 or 4 outdoor kennels being proposed, but they were all enclosed. Had very little neighbor opposition because they were enclosed. Had neighbors close by, but the neighbors didn't have issues with them. They were enclosed, and you can barely hear the dogs. And this parcel I visited a couple times last week and this week. Wide open, and we know sound carries, whether it be trucks or chickens in the country, and have neighbors so close and that many dogs and a potential for 18, I don't feel. Have a motion.
Can we just make a motion to decline the motion?
Pardon me?
Can you just do it like it's to decline the whole thing? Or denial?
For denial.
I can go ahead and make a motion to deny the applicant's application for approval of this kennel.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Saga,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushdaller,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Grunsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Yes. Motion for denial passes 5-0. Appeal period for this agenda item expires on August 30th, 2021 at 5 p.m. The appeal fee is $648. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Item number 3, site approval number PA 1900284. Thank you, John, for your presentation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm with Commissioners.
Chair Hamilton, I'm just going to introduce our planner tonight. This is her first time before you. This is our associate planner, Teddy Hernandez, and Stephanie Stowers is our senior planner. I just wanted to make sure you guys got a chance to meet her.
Welcome, Teddy. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The project is a site approval application for a gas station facility, convenience store, and restaurant to include the construction of a 9,012 square feet of structures and 6 fuel pumps. The gas station and convenience store is proposed to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, and the restaurant is proposed to operate from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. It was previously stated in the staff report that the restaurant will operate from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. However, the applicant stated that he would like the restaurant to operate until 9 p.m., so I'm just providing this as clarification. The project is located on the southwest corner of East Fremont Street and North Oro Avenue in Stockton. The project has a general plan designation of general commercial. The purple areas indicate the industrial designated area. The yellow is residential designated area, and the red is the commercial designated area. And a zoning designation of general commercial, which is red. The purple is industrial zoning. and the yellow is the residential zone. The project is outlined in red. The red stars indicate the neighbors who are in opposition of the project. And also there is an existing gas station on the southeast corner of East Fremont Street and North Oro Avenue. Up there. This is a copy of the site plan submitted by the applicant. The store and the restaurant are located here. The gasoline fuel canopy is located here. And the access and driveways are located here and here. In 2007, the site was previously approved to develop a gas station and convenience store. However, no building permits were issued and the application expired. On November 21st, 2019, site approval application PA 1900284 was submitted to construct a gas station facility to include a convenience store, a restaurant, and fueling canopies. The proposed development is an infill project within an existing developed area that includes industrial, commercial, and residential surrounding the subject parcel. The project site is a site approval application which would typically be reviewed by the Community Development Department. However, the development title allows the director to refer the application to the Planning Commission for determination based on the response from notifications. As a result, this project has been referred to your commission due to neighborhood opposition. The Community Development Department received a petition letter in opposition with 34 signatures stating concerns regarding traffic, noise, pollution, blight, homelessness, property values, and security. Traffic. The project was referred to the Department of Public Works for review, and the department required a traffic study to be completed to determine if the project would have significant traffic impacts. A traffic study was completed by K.D. Anderson and provided recommendations for improvements which have included in the conditions of approval. Noise. The project site is in a developed commercial area and is located in State Route 26 noise corridor for the 2035 general plan due to existing transportation noise. The noise generated by this project is not expected to exceed the existing noise levels along State Route 26. Additionally, a 6 to 7 foot solid masonry wall will be required to be built along the southern property line that abuts the residentially zoned property, and this will further limit noise impacts from the project. Pollution. The San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District reviewed the project and stated in a letter dated February 4th, 2021, that the project would need to comply with existing laws and regulations and is not anticipated to have a significant impact on existing air quality. Blight. The project site is currently a vacant parcel. The recommended conditions of approval will ensure that the proposed development will meet the development standards of the San Joaquin County, including requirements for landscaping along the free road frontages. Homelessness. Homelessness is a county-wide problem and not exclusive to the project area. No information has been provided to indicate that the construction and operation of a gas station and convenience store will increase loitering and homelessness. Property values. Property values are not under the purview of the Community Development Department, nor are they considered in the findings required to approve a site approval. Therefore, property values are not a consideration in the Community Development Department recommendation for this project. Security concerns. The opposition expresses concerns regarding security for the neighboring parcels. However, The opposition did not provide specific information, including the basis for these concerns. Project referrals were mailed to the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office and no response was received. The property owner has stated that a security system will be installed and a security plan will be implemented to ensure the safety of the customers and the surrounding neighbors. The proposed conditions of approval also include a condition for parking lot and security lighting as well. This photo was taken looking northwest towards the project site from North Oro Avenue. This photo was taken looking west towards the project site from North Oro Avenue towards the rear of the property, which is adjacent to the residential property. This is where the 6 to 7 foot masonry wall would be constructed to help with the noise, and construction building structures are going to be a minimum of 20 feet from that wall as well. This photo was taken on North Oro Avenue looking north towards the East Fremont Street and North Oro Avenue intersection. This photo was taken on North Oro Avenue looking south along the eastern property line. This photo was taken on East Fremont Street looking west towards the East Fremont Street along the northern property line. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Not?
How long is this property just sat?
I have some questions.
Since at least 2007, when the previous site approval was approved for the gas station, nothing has been built between now and then.
Since that's a blight.
Any other questions? Public hearing. Representative of the project come forward.
That's fine.
Name and address, please.
My name is Charlie Natland. I'm with CSHQA Architects and Engineers. I'm the architect on the project, representing Mr. Bilal. Good evening, Planning Commission members, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say thank you this evening to staff for their assistance in bringing this project before you. I'd like to take a moment and introduce the members of our team. The owner, Mr. Bilal, is joining us by phone, and he hopes to speak a little later. Our legal counsel, Steve Hiram, who is here with me this evening. Our security camera expert is joining us by phone, and I represent CSHQA Architects, Mr. Mohammed Bilal. Go to the next slide, please. This is a 0.7 acre site which has been designed to support the ARCO AM/PM Fuel Center, which includes a convenience store. Hours of operation are proposed for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with 6 multi-product dispensers and a fuel canopy. 1 500-gallon above-ground propane dispensing station. The propane dispenser uses high-quality propane recovery nozzle to minimize the escape of fumes during fueling. The nozzle utilizes a vacuum system, reclaim system, to recover 90% of the propane typically remaining in the hose returning it to the storage tank. Project also has a 900 square foot takeaway restaurant. The hours of operation proposed are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. The C-store proposes the sale of beer, wine, and tobacco. The owner implements a rigorous training program designed to prevent the sale of alcoholic beverages or tobacco-related products to minors or intoxicated persons, and to prevent on-premises consumption. Ongoing training ensures they are sold in a legal and responsible manner. Exterior signage shall be as permitted by the San Joaquin County sign ordinance. Rooftop mechanical units are screened from view by parapets. The facility is designed for the incorporation of future solar panels. Exterior site and building lighting shall be installed with light shields directed downward to minimize light transmittance to adjacent property. Next slide, please. An 8-foot-high masonry fence has been provided along the south property line between commercial and residential uses. There is an existing 5-foot chain link fence and a decorative black picket and brick column fence along the west property line between the two commercial properties. The owner has reached out to Taylor Automotive, and they prefer that the chain link fence be maintained so the surveillance cameras installed at the fuel center may document any trespassers on their property. Parking is provided per the San Joaquin County standards, including accessible parking and future electric vehicle charging stations. In collaboration with the San Joaquin County Public Works Department, the site has been designed to provide a water detention basin to mitigate water overwhelming the current system. Generous landscape areas are provided along the south, east, and west property lines to facilitate water absorption, providing shade and visual separation. Next slide, please. Traffic and circulation. Per the traffic report, only 38% of all fuel center visits are considered primary trips. Few people leave their home with the sole intent of going to the fuel center. Most trips are pass-by, people already headed elsewhere who stop for gas or convenience. Access is provided with one driveway, right in and right out only, on East Fremont Street at the north end of the site. Each of the lanes is 19 feet wide with a median between. One driveway on North Oro Avenue is 40 feet wide on the east side of the site. On-site vehicle circulation has been planned for ease of maneuverability and to minimize interaction of vehicles and pedestrian traffic. Regarding security, the site has been designed to provide clear, well-lit line-of-sight view corridors, allowing the sheriff and police ease of observation from the street. Site and exterior building lighting are placed to reduce hide and lurk areas. Store managers and staff receive extensive training in maintaining store security, deterring potential crimes and violence, which includes security procedures, proper store maintenance, violence avoidance, and what to do in case of a robbery. A top-of-the-line security camera system or surveillance camera system is being installed, capable of download for law enforcement. The owner has worked with law enforcement, providing camera footage at his other facilities, which assisted in the arrest and prosecution of criminals. Whenever the building is tagged or graffiti appears, staff acts quickly as possible to remove and repaint or restore the original intended colors. Refuse mitigation. A secure trash enclosure is provided per the San Joaquin County standards. Trash receptacles are placed at pedestrian areas to minimize cast-off. Staff walks the site at the change of shift to gather any loose trash that may have been inappropriately discarded. Thank you for your time.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the west side,
It's an existing fence, and I think it may be 6 feet tall, but I wasn't there to measure it, and I'd rather tell you it was 5 feet and have it be 6 feet rather than tell you it was 6 feet and have it be 5 feet. We request the opportunity to respond to any comments or questions or concerns from the community or the commissioners by one or more of our team members. The team and I are here available to respond to any questions and receive any of your comments. Mr. Bilal, his brother is here. It is his brother and his partner on this project. He is here to speak on behalf of the project. We also have Mr. Bilal and one of the neighbors who is in support of the project on the line waiting to speak. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Steve Hiram, our legal counsel, to share further about the project. Do you have any questions for me before?
I have a question, because I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
from, you said you have a propane refill station.
Yes, sir.
Is that for customers who come and fill their own propane tanks?
No, it would be addressed by one of the staff members, but it is for people who bring in propane tanks to be filled, such as with recreational vehicles or some other vehicle that might have a propane tank attached to it.
And what kind of safety measures are built to make sure, I mean, we have residents that are pretty close to a propane tank. How is that going to be?
It is kept in a secure area. I believe we have kept it the required distances away from any of the surrounding obstacles, which might be the propane or the fuel pumps, any buildings.
back to that slide, I think it's right on Oral Street, right off.
I believe it's in a secure.
Is that it?
Is that where they fill?
Oh, I guess that is it. I apologize.
Okay,
I thought
so-
it had a fence around it.
Yeah, it doesn't look that secure. The person who's going to be filling these tanks, are they trained?
Yes, they are
properly
trained.
do this?
Yes.
And it's a one-off, you bring it in, they fill it up, and you take off?
That is correct.
I do have a concern with the way that is situated in that picture.
Okay.
Question on your setback of your big
Yes, sir.
visibility. How far set, it doesn't look like it's quite a ways up on Oro and one.
I believe that is an issue with the perspective. I do believe it is well within the boundary, and please correct me if I'm wrong. It is well within the boundary of our, and also the view triangle at the corner.
Curious because I know.
I believe it's an illusion by the perspective.
Questions? Thank you.
Chairman Hamilton, members of the commission, my name is Steve Harum. I represent the developer, the owner, and the operator of the facility, and my offices are here in Stockton, California. I really want to only address 3 points rather quickly, if I may, because to me this is a pretty straightforward project. Number one, I want to talk about land use for a second. And as you well know, we evaluate land uses according to a regulatory pyramid where the general plan sits atop the pyramid, and then we have the zoning, and then we have the specific uses. And I think one part of the staff report I really want to underscore is the fact that this use is consistent with the general plan, which was carefully evaluated and subject to an EIR that if he hit you on the head, it'd knock you out. It's consistent with the zoning. And this use is consistent with all of the land uses that we look at to decide whether it's appropriate or not. So for years, this property has been properly zoned for this type of use. And I think that's an important thing. We're not asking for any variances. We're not asking for any deviations. We've agreed to every condition of approval. We've done additional studies when it was requested and agreed to the mitigation coming from those reports. So we've done everything that's been asked of us by the staff on a piece of property that says this is for this type of use based upon the historic land use decisions. And in fact, again, to underscore another thing that is in the staff report, is previously this was approved just for this particular use in the last decade, in 2013. For some reason, it wasn't built out. I don't know. I don't represent the owner. I didn't represent that developer. But this is the second time it's being proposed for this use. And in 2013, staff approved it. Didn't even send it to the commission at that particular time. So with respect to the land use, it's consistent with your general plan. It's consistent with your zoning. The developer has agreed to every condition that any department has asked for. It has agreed to do every study that was asked. It's agreed to do every mitigation measure based on those studies, and therefore we agree with the recommendation of your professional staff that this should be approved. We agree with the findings, and we agree with all of the requirements that are being made of this. So from a land use point of view, this is a logical project in this situation. The second thing I'd like to talk about is a little bit about the community. You know, this is not a perfect community by any sense of the imagination, but look what's happening here. We have someone who's going to literally invest millions of dollars of after-tax dollars in capital to build a facility there and run a business there. And I'll put my Chamber of Commerce hat on, even though it's been some 28 years since I was the president of the Chamber, and say it is a good thing when people come to our community and want to invest money and want to build buildings and want to improve communities. And the contrast is very stark. What is better for this community? Spending millions of dollars on this property to build a nice operation there that's going to run there, or to leave it vacant as it's been for many, many years. As Mr. Rustaller said, how long has it been vacant? And I think maybe forever. I'm not aware of anything being there. And it's a reason. It's not a perfect property and a perfect community. So now we've got someone coming in saying, I want to spend my after-tax dollars on this, and I want to turn it into a nice project, as you saw from the renderings. So are you better off, is this community better off leaving it as a vacant piece of property where it's going to attract litter, various activities, and bad guys? Or is it better off having someone there operating at 24 hours a day with highly sophisticated security systems that will make sure that nothing bad happens there? It is an asset to the community to spend money in the community. We know that as a truism. That's what makes communities better, is by spending money on them. And here we have someone willing to do that. And third, I want to briefly comment on the opposition. There's a former supervisor who's been gone many years. I'm going to date myself, George Barber, who served on the board for 28 years. And George had a phrase. He said, sometimes you have to put the skunk on the table, which is an old farmer's phrase. If you've ever cut alfalfa and gone through a skunk nest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I will tell you that in this case, the main part of the opposition was formed by the other owner of a convenience store across the street because he feared the competition. And all I can say to that is you're a planning commission, not an economic commission. We are a free enterprise system. Competition is good, and in fact, it actually makes everyone better. You know, there's always a reason why the Burger King is next to the McDonald's and the Wendy's is next to the McDonald's and all of that. Competition is good. And in fact, we've already seen that other store operate in a better manner since this application was filed. So we understand there's some opposition. But what else are you going to do with the property? It faces the main road. It doesn't face the residential. There is a solid masonry fence between the use and the residential. The residential is not going to see the use. It's the back of the property where it's going to be at. They're not going to see the noise and the activity. If this were facing the residential, this would be a horse of a different color. But that's not the case here. It's facing the street. And it's on property that's been zoned that way forever and ever, and no one else has spent their money to try to improve it, and this fellow is willing to do it. And then finally, on a really small point, if there's an issue with respect to the propane tanks, obviously we will do whatever this commission thinks is right to make those safe. My client represents or owns other operations. They do it similar that way. They've not had a problem, but if the commission wants something more, we're willing to do more. We think this is a very important project, and we want to be successful, and we want to be accommodating to this. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I do appreciate it. Mr. Belisle was intending to be here today. I believe he is sick and did not want to come, given the pandemic, as you can imagine. And he would either like to speak now, if possible, or as part of the other public comments. But I know, I believe he is on the phone and does want to participate and provide you with some additional comments. So if there aren't any other questions of me, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Yes, sir. And Mr. Belisle could probably answer that better with his other ones, but I've represented a lot of convenience stores over the years, and you're going to see, you know, maybe 8 to 10 people. But also, what's also important, and you know, as someone who started out life, I was in San Francisco the other day, and I saw in Chipotle you can start working for $22 an hour. And I remember I started working at an Orange Julius. Probably none of you are old enough to remember what an Orange Julius is. Oh, good. There. Well, I started at an Orange Julius at 95 cents an hour. And so, but you know, you got to start somewhere. And for many people, this is their first job, not their last job. They create a record. They're able to say, I showed up on time, I worked hard, and it's a start. So you look at 8 to 10 jobs, and maybe for someone that's a second chance to get them on an employment ladder that's going to make a huge difference in their life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I do see we have Muhammad Belisle in here. This would be your opportunity to unmute yourself and speak to the commission, please.
I'm a.
Oh.
Is this a chance to speak in opposing to this?
Oh, no, this is for the applicant.
Okay.
Respected. Hi, my name is Mohammed Bilal, and I'm not feeling good. My brother will talk behalf of me.
Hi. Respected council member, my name is Adnan Khan. I'm a physician by profession, interventional cardiologist. And I want to tell the community about me a little bit. We came here in 2000. We migrated from Pakistan. And my first job was at McDonald's, $6.75 an hour. And I started here as a junior in high school. And I worked full time, went to Doctor College for 2 years, and then UC Davis. I finished all of my training, medical school, and 7 years of training back in 2018, and I have been practicing here for the past 3 years. You know, we started from the rock bottom. We did not have anything to build on here. We worked full-time at the minimum wages, and today we own a lot of properties, and we have bought all the rundown properties and turned them around. And we really, really believe on this community. We have invested in this particular community before as well. We have bought the properties on the Lillian from the church. And They were run-down houses, not in a livable condition. We renovated them and sold them back probably, I would say, 4 years ago. So we are very familiar and already invested in this area. It will bring, all the opposition. We saw the letters, I read the questions. We contacted every single person who was on the list. About 25% of them did not even recognize their signatures. When it comes to the opposite, competitor across the project, as Mr. Herm stated, it will definitely bring a complication. And because of that, I think it'll improve the competitive practices as well. Currently, it's unbranded gas station, and the prices are higher than the Chevron gas station. So obviously, due to the complication, those prices will come down and it will serve the community better as well. I don't think I can beat Mr. Herm on this presentation because it's not my, I don't do this a lot. It's my first time. I would like to answer any question the opposition has. I do have some experience in this because I used to work with my brother as a full-time during summer. And so I have worked at the gas station for about 3-4 years, so I know what it takes to run. And this is our site number 4. We're building 1. Currently, we're pulling permits on Lathrop on the Golden Parkway for the car station and a egg pump fuel gas station. And we are not spending $5-6 million on this project to make it look ugly. We're not going to make the community look worse than it already is. We will definitely make a lot of improvements. And we have done so with our previous projects. And if anybody needs information, I can give you guys the address and you guys check them out and see what they were 5 years ago compared to now. I'll take any questions. All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak in support of this project? Is there anyone online that would like to speak? Oh, okay. Come forward, please.
Hi, my name is David Garcia, and I'm a resident. I live right on Fremont and Oro. And I think it's a wonderful idea what they're doing. I see, I've been in where I live now, I've been here 5 years, and I've seen that corner just look the way it does now for 5 years that I've been there. And I can see a good thing coming out of that corner. I can see jobs being created there. I can see people coming in off the freeway or going traveling through there, pulling in for some gas. I think it's a great idea. That's all I really got to say. Thank you for.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Do you have anyone online who likes to speak in support?
Anyone who is currently participating through the Microsoft Teams or dialed in, if you want to speak on support of the project, this is action item 3, site approval number PA 1900284. You can unmute and address the commission. I am seeing no participation.
All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this project? Come forward, please. Get your name and address, we'd appreciate that.
My name's Linda Dyer. I live at 648 North Oro. And this is my community. I've lived there all my life. I know everybody around my street. We do not want this gas station. We deal with the homeless. We deal with the traffic. Oro Avenue is the only through street going into East Side Stockton unless you use Filbert or Cardinal. If you are going eastbound Fremont Street, it is 2 lanes coming off of the overpass. In front of Greerwald's gas station, it narrows down to 1 lane. Where he is talking about putting his entrance to his gas station, it is actually a turn lane for Oro Avenue. When you turn onto Oro Avenue off of Fremont, his exit is right there, and the only way to turn would be to your right, which is going to put all the traffic onto Oro, because Oro has a double yellow lane. It is a turn lane at the light. You can either turn right or left. So what's going to happen when he puts all of his traffic, it has to come out to Oro Street. They're either going to make a right-hand turn and go down and make U-turns on our property, which we already have the problem, or they're going to try to cut across the double yellow line, and you're going to have wrecks, which they have constantly now because of Grierwald's gas station. They're always trying to turn into the gas station. So we're still going to have the same problem, only it's going to multiply. You have directly north of his project is all residential. On his application, he states it is commercial property. It might be commercial, but it's residential commercial. You have the big wheel trailer park. You have a duplex with a fourplex. Then you have a cul-de-sac with 10 to 12 little houses and a big house in front. All those cars, they try to come across Fremont Street. Boom, boom, boom. It's wreck after wreck. Where they're proposing their interest, like I said, that is the eastbound lane, a turn lane onto Oro. It has 2 other lanes and a left-hand turn lane to turn into the residential area. When they get up to Grierwald's, it changes to 1 lane. So all this traffic is all going to be diverted onto us. We have Franklin High School. We cannot get in and out of our driveways as it is now from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7:45. Every day, we're not allowed to use our driveways because the traffic is completely stopped. When you have somebody trying to turn into another gas station, it's only going to amplify our problem. Same thing, when school gets out at 2:15, we can't get out of our driveways until after 3 o'clock, so we have to arrange our lives around the school. He's proposing that we have to deal with more traffic. We don't want any more traffic. He's wanting a 24-hour gas station. We don't want the riffraff all night long. We want peace and quiet. We live there. We shouldn't have to have the racket all night long. What they don't know is you have homeless. Everybody has homeless. Grierwald's closes at 10 o'clock. Therefore, that stops the traffic. Most of the people quit coming up and down the street once the store's closed. He's proposing a 24-hour station. That's going to keep the people on our street 24 hours a day. We have a right to sleep. We have a right to peace and quiet. Let me address some of the other issues and concerns we have. The trash. He says they're going to have them go around and pick up the trash. Okay, well, you have the Franklin High School kids and you have all the homeless. They go down there, they buy their stuff just like they do at Grierwald's now. They come through and they throw their trash down. That's doubling our trash. Now we're going to pick up after another gas station. We don't want to. We're tired. What about the shootings? What about the fighting, all the fights that goes on at that, the vandalism, the graffiti? So they put in a camera system. That's not protecting us. That's not putting a stop to anything. Cameras don't protect anybody. Cameras will show them after the fact, but you still have to deal with what's going on at the time. Then you have his propane tank and this recovery system. Okay, Grierwald's has the same recovery system, and we get the smells at our house. We have to buckle the house down because they don't know what they're doing half the time. These people are a lot of people that work there are young kids, and they're taught how to go do it. They make mistakes. Everybody does. But you're putting other people in danger when you're doing this. Take a look at AM/PM on Wilson Way. Everybody, they're talking about how proud they are. Go look at the filth. Go look at the vandalism. Go look at the trash that's piled around it. They do not upkeep their property like they're putting out that they do. They do not. Okay? Now they're going to have the trucks delivering their merchandise. Those trucks, They come out onto Oro Street. They have actually tried to turn it around in our driveway. We have actually stood in front of them to stop them because the big trucks tear up our driveways. They don't fix our driveways. They don't care. This is our residential area. This is where we live. We look out our window. Yeah, it's a vacant lot. Before they even knew about this, there was a house there. It was Mr. Church, and he had a trucking outfit, and he parked his diesel truck there. It was never a gas station. Somebody tried years ago to put it in, and it didn't go through. Why? Because nobody wants another gas station. Mr. Bilal came to my house, tried to buy us off, offer us a cake. I don't want your cake. I don't want your merchandise. I don't want the traffic. I don't want the all-night noise. I don't want the car sitting up there spinning Brodies all night long. We shouldn't have to deal with this. This is all residential. And the other thing is, if this was your house and you had to look out your front window and he says, oh, he's going to put all this fine, fancy stuff up there. You want to see it? Do you want the lights? Do you want all the riffraff that's going to come with it? I don't know of anybody that wants it. He's saying it's good for our community. No, it's not, because we don't want it. We don't want what he wants. He doesn't live there. He's out to make a profit. He's out to make money. And as far as the house values, they say it doesn't matter. No, it does not matter to them. It matters to us, the people that own our house. And yes, it does make a difference. And yes, it is going to devalue our property. I have talked to several real estate agents. I've had them come out and tell me what my house is worth today. If they put the station in, what is it going to do to my value? I lose approximately $85,000 in value. That is not fair to us, to any resident in that area. None. I'm begging you, do not let him destroy this neighborhood. We have so much that people have fought for all these years. Rear Walls gas station finally fenced it off because the homeless, they were living in the back of his station. 20 years to get it stopped. Now we're going to start all over again. Please, don't let this happen. Thank you. Is
there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak against this project?
Yeah, I oppose.
Going on the line, state your name and address, please.
My name is Jennifer Williams. My address is 657 North Oro Avenue. I will be on the same exact side as a gas station, one house away.
Any other comments?
My opposing to this is when they did do their research for this area, the project manager didn't get the full rough estimate of everything that was actually happening. They came at a nice, peaceful time during the day. They didn't come when Franklin traffic was there. Not only that, but here's another big, huge problem they have. The crosswalk is currently on the left-hand side of East Fremont Street. Now 99% of your cars turn left and go onto East Fremont Street off of North Oro. What's that do? It bottlenecks everything up 10 times worse. I take my child to school every morning. I cannot get back home and get into my driveway. I had a guy honk at me for 20 minutes because the cars were blocking it and I couldn't move to get in my own driveway. So he expected me to drive away from my house because I was having to block traffic just to get in my own driveway because people would not let me in. Not only that, but they don't see the homeless. I have a child. Now my child, even if I want to walk to the store, there's a lady comes down there. She gets dropped off. She's a hooker. She's a prostitute. Now I don't let my child go outside and go down there. You have several other small children, including, unfortunately, the house that's right next to where the site is, they have small kids, and all their bedrooms are going to be on the side of the gas station. That's the unfortunate part for them. Not only that, but what kind of perverts are going to come here knowing that they can stand at a gas station and watch these kids up and down the street when Franklin's there? Not only our small children, but other small children. You have other issues with the homeless. The guy was behind Greer Wall's gas station, inappropriately touching himself. Okay, and then he got in trouble for that and got arrested for it. The guy got shot and killed over at the gas station. You have one other convenience store you guys didn't even bother to mention over on the other side of Greer Wall's gas station, 3 taco trucks all around currently. I went around and got the petition signed, and I know each and every one of those people that I talked to, so there's not 25% of people that opposed after signing it, and they do remember their signatures because I just talked to them about this meeting, every one of them on that list. And not only that, but I would like to represent my grandmother, who is one house next to me, who's 89 years old, and she does not need this either, having to get up in the middle of the night at 89 years old because we have to have dogs in our neighborhood so we can stop the thieves that come down, the homeless, and try to steal from our yards constantly. Now add that tenfold because now you're going to have a 24-hour gas station. So the little sleep I currently get is going to be stolen from me because I have to check and see and make sure somebody's not trying to steal something or get in my grandma's house or go to my parents' house or steal from one of my neighbors and steal from my own house. That's not really fair. So I lose sleep and I have to get up and take a kid to school and come back and do a daily life. The homeless encampment at the AMPM on Wilson Way, next to it, they're not even saying anything about that. They currently have homeless people camped out on the side of the AMPM on Wilson Way. If they're allowing that, what are they going to allow at ours? My big fear too is now I have to worry about the safety of my family and my son. You're putting 2 propane tanks currently together across the street from each other, less than 600 yards away. You're putting more gas station pumps in, so now you're adding fuel to the fire if something happens. Not only that, but there was homeless people went to pump gas at Greer Wall's gas station and turned around and their motorhome caught on fire and they pushed the damn thing right into the propane tank. Luckily, the people were able to push it further and got it across to the empty lot. If they hadn't, we wouldn't even be here right now to be talking about this.
If I can get you to wrap up your comments, please.
Oh, I'm opposed to the whole situation. I also have somebody else here that's a different person that's opposed to it.
Okay,
My name is Maria Bustamante, and I live.
Thank you. Anyone else online?
I live at 612 North Oro, and we are having all those kinds of problems. I've lived there for 13 years, and it has been really bad with the homeless traffic, and the 2 stations that are going to be next to each other, and I don't think it's fair. It's not good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If there's anyone else participating either through call-in or Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in opposition to the project, again, this is action item 3, site approval number PA 1900284. This is your opportunity to unmute and speak to the commission. I'm seeing no other activity.
None. Would the applicant like to rebuttal on some comments?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, again, Steve Harum representing the applicant. Well, first of all, let me say I respect and I honor the comments that were made in opposition. People live there. They have an absolute right to speak. It's quite clear it's not a perfect neighborhood. It has its issues, as many neighborhoods in Stockton have, and I respect what they have to say. Having said that, I still think this is a good project that should be approved. And I would start with what I said at the very beginning, is this is a land use decision. And consistent with your general plan, it's consistent with the zoning, and it's been like that for a long time. And when we look at developing property, we go to the land use regulations to see whether or not it's appropriate or not. This might be different if we were asking for a general plan change or if we're asking for a change to the zoning. But we're just trying to implement the general plan and the zoning as it is with the use that's permitted by those without seeking any variance, without disagreeing with any condition of approval, without asking for anything different and agreeing to everything. We're completely consistent with the general plan and the zoning. And that's critical for you as Planning Commission, how you were supposed to look at these sort of issues. Now, I'm not going to answer every question that was raised in opposition. With your permission, I sort of bundled them together and would try to give a brief response to them if I may. I would start with the traffic issue, and I would remind you that we were asked to conduct a traffic report by a traffic engineer who's pre-selected and approved by the county. And they did that traffic report. It was peer-reviewed by both Caltrans and by the Public Works Department, and it asked for some mitigation measure, which we agreed to. So you have a professional traffic study that was done, overseen by the county, peer-reviewed by the county, and accepted as deciding that there were no traffic issues out there. And I think you can rely on that in that particular case. That's exactly why we do those sort of traffic reports, so we have a qualified traffic engineer telling us what needs to be done out there, and he did recommend some changes, of all of which we agreed to. Number two, on the issue of the homes nearby, again, I think the critical thing is the location of the property. You know, it is facing the road. It is not facing the residential. You do have the masonry wall between the residential and the use, and the use is facing the street. It's not facing the residential, and I think that cuts off the noise. In terms of lighting, of course, there are lighting standards, and the lighting has to go internal into our project. It can't go external, so there isn't a lighting problem under the county lighting standards, because in commercial properties they have to show that the lighting is going internal and not external. And I'd simply point out that, you know, it's not unusual to have residential next to these kind of uses. I worked with Jay Allen and the Stone Company when we did the Stone Ridge Shopping Center, which is on Pacific and I can't think of the streets where my office is. And we got apartments right next to it. And that's just the way it is. It's common to have residential and retail near each other in Stockton as well as it is in other properties. And so that's not an unusual situation. In terms of security, it is going to have state-of-the-art security, including cameras. And what's going to happen is that people who are doing bad things are going to stay away from the area, because those cameras not only capture what's happening on site, but it shows what's happening on adjoining properties as well. I mean, you don't have to watch too many crime shows to know one of the first things the detectives do is say, well, let's see if there are any cameras in the area. And the reason is the cameras cover more than just that one distinct area. So that's going to be a positive to the community. And the bad guys are not dumb, and they're going to stay away from areas where they're going to be videotaped. So that's a positive for the entire community, and it protects not just the property, but the adjoining properties as well, and makes it a desirable place for those people to be. In terms of the trucks turning in private driveways, that's completely unacceptable. I can't imagine that. And all I can tell you is that we're qualified operators, and my client will make it very clear that people who deliver to his facility will not turn around in people's private driveways. That's just unacceptable, and I feel sorry for that person that had that happen to him. No one should have that happen to him. It won't be with any of the vendors of this facility. And finally, I would just conclude by saying you have a vacant piece of property. It hasn't built out. The reason it hasn't, heard from these folks, this is going to be their fourth facility. They run good operations. They care about their facilities. They're family owned. They're spending $4 to $6 million. My experience is when you have a family owned business that's spending $4 to $6 million on a facility, they take good care of it. There's a pride of ownership, and they're local and they live here, and that makes a huge difference. And this is a project that should go forward. It's much better than having a vacant lot remain there forever and ever and ever. We can attempt to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. Mr. Natlin, I had a question for you. Mr. Natlin, a question for you on your design here. Concerns like Mr. Roostaller on the road, and it's also, maybe you can tell me how far it is from the nearest gas pump. There's another, look at this, there's another alternative way to put it across the yard. Over here, you have a propane cage on the corner of the store, or that's just to hold containers?
That just holds, those containers are filled containers, but they are for sale with the container. So they sell that propane container and they take it away from the site. We will look at relocating that propane dispenser to another location on site, so it's farther away from the street frontage and in a more secure area.
With that said, that you're going to look at that, I appreciate that. That's one of my concerns is about propane. We also want to make sure it's not anywhere near residential.
Absolutely.
Well, another concern that I have, and I'll say it's the hours of operation. I'm sure you've done all your studies on what you have to do to break even, but hearing tonight about how having something that's open 24 hours, such a tight residential area, I would ask that you reconsider that and going forward, or at least look at it. I know your business study probably tells you have to work 24 hours to make this, but I would suggest, in an effort to work with the neighbors, listen to their concern about having something open 24 hours a day.
I will say that the owner of the property, Mr. Bilal, does operate other stations, and he does train his staff because he wants his customers to feel comfortable at the facility. He doesn't want them to feel uncomfortable in any way, because what that does is that causes him to lose customers because they'll go someplace else where they feel more comfortable. And so he puts forth a great effort to make sure the site is secure, that it's clean, that it's well maintained, so that when people come, they feel comfortable and feel welcomed in his locations. His brother may be able to speak because he knows the other locations they work at. There was another AM/PM mentioned. I can say that I know that Mr. Bilal that is not his store. He doesn't operate that store. This is the first AM/PM he's doing. His other facilities are different kinds of fuel centers. So I know that that particular station is not his and not a representation of the kind of facility he runs. I'm sorry, I can't speak to what his decision would be. I know that he has reached out to everyone in the community, and he did receive a very positive response from all of the folks that he did speak with. Sorry, I can't answer anything more than that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
If I may, I'd like to make a few comments. You know, I drive a car, and I have to fuel pump. But not everybody who goes to the gas station is a thief. We all drive cars. There are good customers, bad customers. As far as, you know, everybody's unhappy about the homelessness situation, but they are around, you know, and we accept it or not, they are part of this community. They are underneath the bypasses, so we need to get rid of bypasses. Have we all been to In and Out? How long the lines are? Just to grab a sandwich. There are at least any time I'll go to In and Out, there are about 50 cars. At least 50 cars, no matter which one you go to. So we need to get rid of all the In and Outs, McDonald's, everything. I think like I said, we are Our intention is to make this as comfortable, as convenient, as much as possible for everyone. And we absolutely, that's our intention, and we'll take every single step to do that. Our other locations, I can assure you, because they're 24/7, because of that, there is no homeless people that sleeps on our property. Now, there are instances when they are, further away from the property, and when we call cops, guess what they tell you? He's not on your property. I cannot take him from here. That's out of our control. If they are in front of your house on a sideway, you cannot do anything about it. This is a fact, and we just have to accept it. But like I said, we keep all our properties very, very clean. We have assisted the law enforcement numerous times, and I have worked nights at gas station during my undergrad. The traffic overnight is not even 10%. Most of the businesses during the daytime and the evening, overnight is not even 10%. Not facing the houses, we take every precaution to address those issues. Leaving it open, it prevents robberies. When there's somebody's there, it's less of an issue. And I'm saying this from experience. I have worked there. We run 4 stations. All the studies have been done, so nothing further to add. Thank you.
All right, we'll close the public comment section, bring it back to the commission.
Can I speak one more time before we close it?
No, you missed your point there. We missed your spot. I'm sorry. We closed the comments. Comments from the commission?
Yeah, we don't know, what the future holds for this property exactly, if it's approved, if it's going to be a net benefit for the community, or if there's going to be some issues, but there's absolutely no benefit to keep a vacant lot for another how many years. I think there's some palm trees on there that you'll see those on the internet all the time, lighting on fire, people arsons and all that type of thing. I'd rather see some people, maybe they're talking about the kids walking home from Franklin, maybe a kid gets a job there or something, maybe fantasy, but maybe not. And as far as there being traffic, of course that's the case. It's why they're putting it there, because there's a traffic count that supports that type of facility. Not trying to make anyone's neighborhood worse, but the reality is that it's zoned for it. It's really not a bad location for the project, in my opinion.
Comments?
I think it's a good location for the project. And I think that I do agree that if somebody's there, there's more protection than it just being a vacant lot. And it would be lit up, and I think it would be really good for the neighborhood.
Yes, I have expressed my concerns, yet I have to agree with the other commissioners who've spoken so far. We all know that there are issues within our community, but our job as we sit up here is basically how is the land to be used, and if it is within guidelines that have been set by this county, I don't think we have any other choice but to approval.
I would like to say that, you have the right to express, everybody had the right to express, and you live in the area saying that, this is my neighborhood, which is good, it's your neighborhood. But that being said, at the same time, when you're looking at the pictures, it being vacant and looking so dirty and not well kept, like my other co-commissioner said here, our job here is not to look at the values of the house, it's not being mean to anyone, but our job is to look at, is the use being used the way it has been authorized? So the land use authorizes that, for that, and having the applicant and people who are with him, they're willing to work with the neighborhood, so that makes a difference. At least they're willing to work. There are some people who are arrogant, so that becomes a little issue. These folks are willing to work with the neighborhood, and they're willing to listen and do a little changes to accommodate. ARCO MPM, I understand, is a franchisee. It's a 24-hour thing. It cannot just shut off they don't have the right to do that, just like some other franchisees can just do whatever they want to do. That all being said, the best thing is instead of having the animosity or having that kind of relationship where you start with, there is always room for negotiation and meet each other in the middle. Our job over here is not to tell people. Being on planning commission, I do understand the lights will not be getting into people's home because the staff will not let that happen. The traffic report shows the traffic will not be that big of a concern. Of course, traffic will come because it's a gas station. That all being considered, this is a land use thing that comes to the commission. We don't sit here and dictate, how does it affect emotionally to other people. But the quality of life is being taken into consideration and the land use. So it's zoned for that. And under that zoning, that particular project falls under that. That being said, we will, I'm not speaking on anybody, but I'm speaking on my own behalf that because it falls under the land use and because of the zoning, I will support that. So it's been.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to approve site approval number PA 1900284.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Through the chair, may I clarify the motion? Staff did mention a change to the business hours. Did that need to be addressed in the motion, or was that included in the motion, or is there no amendments that need to be? Okay, perfect.
Nope.
Thank you for clarifying, Chair.
In the conditions of approval, Council, so I would recommend that it does get put into the motion. The conditions of approval in the staff report specifically state that it closes at 8 p.m. So if the commission would like to grant the 9 p.m. closing date, I would recommend that be on the record.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Midgley?
Yes.
Commissioner Grunsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Sangha?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushdaller?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. The appeal period for this agenda item expires on August 30th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Appeal fee is $648. Okay, we'll go to other business. Discussion of Planning Commission rules of procedure.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioner. David Kwong, your director again. One of the specific components we wanted to start bringing up today or tonight for your discussion and input is specifically regarding where we should be having future meetings in terms of the location, time, things like that. We started looking at continuation of meetings here in the board chambers, but also as the commission had previously suggested in the past about looking at the Ag Commissioner's office building as well. There are pros and cons to both. I think we'll probably bring it back to the commission and lay out more with a detailed staff report in the matrix. But to the extent there are some constraints if we have to move forward to the Ag Commissioner's office because we don't actually have enough staff to be able to set up, and we actually don't have some of the hard wiring for the computers, things like that. But what I can do is bring back a more detailed listing of the pros and cons for the chambers here, the Ag Commissioners, and then also solicit any other kind of locations that this commission would like us to look at as well. So
I think you also have to look at taxpayers of San Joaquin County so they can participate in our meetings. I've had feedback, and so has Chuck Wynn's office and other writer's office. Talking to a lot of people participate in our conversations. Comfortable for them. Represent the taxpayers. They're the ones that pay them. The Ag Department's going to tell you every time you talk to them, we can't handle you. We don't have staff. I think that can be worked out.
Go ahead. So we can give you some a little bit more details now, and then we can bring back a report for you as well. But I did want to ask also, are there other locations you want us to look at as well as those two, or this one?
Any examples?
Just other types of community centers.
You can come to Tracy. You're welcome to come there.
So we have attempted to actually look at something in the north as well, but go ahead, Jennifer.
So in anticipation of starting this conversation, I did do some research. My research included reaching out to the Ag Commissioner's building to find out what the cost would be just simply to rent the facility and kind of the logistics about that.
Stop there. Why does it have to be rented? Explain that.
So it depends on the building that we're utilizing. So if we were to go out to Mickey Grove, we would be paying a fee to Parks and Rec for the use of their building. Interestingly enough, I found out that we do not have to pay a fee to use board chambers, and I can't tell you why that is. I can just tell you that I did confirm with our fiscal department that we do not pay a fee to rent this facility, and the Ag Commissioner, it's not very significant. It's $120 per meeting for a 4-hour block, so it's not something that would break the bank, I wouldn't say.
Nickels and dimes.
The biggest concern that I did find out, and I completely understand what you're saying, Chair Hamilton, about wanting to provide options for people to feel comfortable for participation. The biggest constraint out at the Ag Commissioner's office, and this was through a conversation with the Assistant Director of ISD. I went straight to him because I am not a tech person and I didn't want to speculate what concerns were out there. So they said that we do have audio capability out there. They have microphones and projectors. Our biggest constraint will be the streaming ability. So when we started in the public health building, our old location, we did not stream our meetings. We did not have Wi-Fi ability. It was a very old building. And they are not, and I have confirmed that they are not intending to construct a new chamber for us to hold our hearings. We really enjoyed being there. It was right, it's down the street from our office, but they're not planning on giving us a facility there. So the streaming equipment would conservatively cost, depending on what we want. If we wanted kind of a turnkey, it would be maybe around $60,000, and if we wanted something less turnkey and more, which would require more setup every meeting, it would be more like 20. So we're looking 20,000 to 60,000. So it's a significant improvement. Not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean we can't do that, but I just want you to know that while we're considering these things. The setup for that facility is more for staff time, but that's actually not a real big issue either, because we can accommodate setup. We would have to set up chairs, take down.
I understand
but
that.
That's fine.
It's done by a vendor. It's not done by staff.
No, it's done by staff. I
talk to the vendor.
We have to pay for that if we use a janitor. So we don't.
I'm wondering why. Explain to me why, when it's government taxpayers' dollars, one building don't want you, one building can say, we want to charge you X amount.
Well,
taxpayer dollars went out to build that building.
Right.
And I can't see that the Ag Commissioner say, really don't accommodate you because taxpayer money.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just providing the information so that you guys can consider this. And this was just information I found out today. So the bigger facilities out at the Ag Commissioner can hold up to, the biggest room can hold 128. This room can hold about 254. Like I said, we both have monitors and projectors at both locations. Streaming is available here. It would be something we would have to invest in and require some construction. We do pay for Mr. Rob over there from ISD. We'd still have to pay for that. Potentially 2 people, potentially 1 person here, and possibly 1 down at that location. Assistant Director Nuaj was not 100% sure. It would kind of depend on the system. And I don't have an answer for you as to why some buildings charge us and some don't. It's just the facts.
Just proved a What, $5-6 million AMPM is going to pay a lot of taxes. Where's that money going to go?
Report would be a CAO analyst input, and when the CAO analyst input, they would be looking more at the county as a whole. We are limited to departmental budgets, and those departmental budgets are dependent on the use of a facility, and so that's how their budget was approved, and so that's really how the board allocated and opted to use the tax dollars. So when we're looking to change the way that we want to do that, we have to go through a process, and so when staff brings that back, we'll definitely have input from an analyst, so that in fact, if we want to do that, how do we do that? And so that'd be part of that discussion. Just to kind of piece over the, she's got the real nuts and bolts. But
more than likely, it could be done.
Right. This was just a kind of to start the conversation.
Yeah, right.
And then if you want to pursue that, like Zoe said, we can definitely provide a more in-depth report.
And Chair, we did look at the Grape Bowl. But it seemed like it was a little outdated and hard to kind of.
Grape Bowl, how about the Grape Pavilion?
What? I'm sorry?
Pavilion.
That would have been an outside thing for the Grape Bowl.
Grounds?
Yes, we have had meetings there over the years. I believe we will still run into the issues with the updated buildings providing Wi-Fi. They're older buildings and they're a little bit more difficult. But I can look into that if that is something you would like to consider.
So when do you think you will have this report for us? It seems like we're just going back and forth. I think we need.
Well, probably a couple months. I think is the ag building still being used as the EOC?
No, you can book up to a year in advance.
Okay.
At that location, and for the remainder of the fiscal year, there are only 2 dates where we would need it, and it would not be available.
So to respond to Commissioner's question, what do you think about reporting back?
I would say probably maybe early October meeting. I could probably have something.
I mean, if we're paying for it, does it have to even be a county building? Could it be Hutchins Street Square or something where they do lots of events, you know? I mean, if we're already going to be making this massive investment, you know, not massive, but 20,000, 60,000, can we just rent a place that already has this stuff in, that's not owned by the county? Is that a possibility? Is there rules against it or anything?
I don't know that there are rules against it. I mean, we can look into
We'd
any
probably
options.
open things up a little bit. We're talking about spending, you know, like you said, 20,000, 60,000. Maybe we get a place that already has this in place. You know, we have regular meetings. We're kind of a repeat customer. We're also incredibly nice people. Anyone would be lucky to have us.
Everyone would want us.
Yeah, for sure. Who would tell us no?
Yeah.
But to echo Commissioner Chair Hamilton's comments, a couple months ago we had, I want to say it was a Clements issue. It was a mother and daughter. Daughter was probably my age, and you know, to think about them finding the parking down here, being alone, you know, and this isn't. I'm not some out of town guy thinking Stockton's rough. I'm 6th generation. My daughter's 7th, but I wouldn't want my kid coming down here at this time of night, especially without special parking. So it's not suitable here at this time of night, especially with this whole point is public engagement, and. I think we would have a little more. The call-ins are fine and all that, but I think it's way better when people are here face to face, as long as it's allowed, you know, who knows in the coming months. But this location at this time of night doesn't really work. I mean, just me coming in today, we got a very mentally unwell person cussing and screaming, walking into the building. Okay, I don't know if someone's walking up and saying, okay, screw this, I'm out of here. You know, that's what we don't want. We don't want to deter, we kind of want to bring people in. So we got to really keep that in mind.
For an example, I had a neighbor of the project from the kennel in opposition. By myself. Idea what's going on.
Yes, you guys hear much more than we do as commissioners, so that's why it's important to have these conversations so you can let us know.
The health department was a good fix. There was plenty of parking. We had security.
Maybe we should just get a new building ourselves, and then we can build a nice big planning commission. Yeah.
Maybe a place,
I don't think that's in your budget at this time.
Maybe a place with a bar.
It's a little more than 60,000, give or take a few million, but I think it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I really don't like to spend money, and I think it's fine right here. But, I mean, but I can see that where some people would be be put off maybe by. I've never felt that way.
In the staff report, I believe that they will also likely get CAO information in regards to the facilities plans that the county has. So the county does do a long-term facilities planning, includes capital improvements, and so to the extent that that may include CDD structures or changes in buildings, the report will include that so that there can be an understanding of whether this is a 5-year commitment or a forever commitment or those kinds of things. So facilities updates will matter, and I do believe in the 10-year facilities update that there is a planned facility, so that may also inform the commission.
Thank you, Chair and Commission. We'll bring you back a report in October.
Director's report, scheduling of future hearings.
Thank you, Chair and Commission again. Basically, we really only have one item on September 16th at this point. September 2nd is proposed for cancellation. And that item on the 16th is a large winery built in 2 phases over 5 years and out near East Jahant Road and North Lower Sacramento Road in the Campo. And we'll bring that back again on September 16th. And that's it, Chair.
Any other questions, comments? We're adjourned. Thank you.